Hey guys, right, I'm on my break. In fact, I've just finished my break, my 30-minute break. I'm getting the hang of this break thing, 15 minutes here, half an hour here, work time directives here. I've got a really interesting app, it's called Tachograph. It's working out really well. I'll do a video on it one day, but I'm very aware of the fact that, well, I've had my head in the truck, you know, sort of all, I've been neglecting the questions. So I'm going to go back a little bit. Guys, I'm on the catch up, but hopefully I will catch up soon. In fairness, I'm sitting here because by the time I finish this video, I might get a job to take me home, but I don't mind. I've done my money. I'm happy. So Record asked me a question, and he says, I've talked to my accountant, and he says, I'm not very unlikely to be turning over £85,000 a year, therefore, which I think is the threshold above which you have to be VAT registered. And he said, I'm a sole trader. He said, so he says he can't see any advantage to me being VAT registered. Because he said, you know, I can claim the money back, but if I don't claim the money back, it just comes off expenses anyway. Now, this is something Tony told to me. And then I spoke to my mate, Simple Brian, and he went, no. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you two reasons why I think you should be VAT registered. One of which is probably wrong, or at least wildly inaccurate, because I'm clueless and I don't really know what I'm talking about. The second one isn't. So firstly, and I know you're all going to pull me to pieces on this, the argument being, well, you're going to get it back on expenses anyway. Not really. Because when you bear in mind that if you're VAT registered, all you do is you'll put VAT on a job. So say, for example, you bid on a job at £100, you'll put the VAT on, that'll go on at 120 quid, and then the shipper at the other end will get the invoice for £120. He will pay you £120, and then he'll claim the £20 back off the VAT man. So either way, you still effectively quoted a job for £100, and the shipper has paid the £100. It's just the shipper has had paid 120 and then got his £20 back later. And you will do the same. You'll get 120, but you've got to give 20 to the VAT man. On the expenses side of things, everything you buy, so if you buy £100 worth of diesel, on £20 you get on 20% you get £20 back. So effectively that's like spending £80 on diesel. If you do it on the expenses, then you'll be claiming your expenses, you'll get relief on £100 because you've done 100 quid, as opposed to getting a relief on £80 because you've got £20 back, but you'll never get that £20 back. So it's a bit like you'll have the expense part of the £80 plus 20 quid if you are VAT registered. If you're not VAT registered, you'll have the expense part of £100, but it won't be 24 quid or something like that. Now, that is probably wildly wrong, but that is my take on it. And it's not just the petrol. It's the tyres, it's the boots, it's a high visibility jacket, it's anything that's work related. It's windscreen wiper washer, it's you know, I think it's when you buy a van. Although I think if you're not VAT registered, you can still get a certain amount of it back on, although that might be on a flat rate scheme. I do recommend, however, if you can go on a flat rate scheme, that makes good sense, because that's just no headache at all. That is, you charge them VAT, so £100 job, you charge them £120, and then you pay back 10%. So you pay back £12. So you actually get to keep an extra 8 quid on the job. You don't get a claim on your diesel and your boots and all that kind of stuff, but for every job you make an extra 8 quid. That's, once again, probably wrong, but that's my take on it. Now, part two, the other thing Record said, and he said you have an advantage because you can quote cheaper on jobs, because everybody else will be quoting £120 because they'll be quoting it with the VAT, and you'll be quoting £100. You've got more chance of winning. This is not true. When I changed from being, originally I ran without the VAT because that's what Tony advised me to do, and then I went to running with the VAT. I still quote the same money. So if I was going to quote £100 on a job, I wouldn't say it's 120 including the VAT. I'd ring it up and I'd go, mate, 100 quid. Same as anyone who wasn't VAT registered would ring it up and go, mate, 100 quid. And then when they receive the invoice, they're going to get an invoice for £120. About twice in the 2,000 jobs I must have done since I changed to being VAT registered have I had someone ring me up and go, oh, I didn't realise. Once a guy rang me up and said, I didn't realise you were VAT registered, but I'd give him a cheap job anyway. I said, mate, you've just got like 120 miles of Luton van for 90 quid. Let's not cry about it. He went, yeah, okay, fine. And once the guy turned around and said, right, okay, so you're VAT registered. So, you know, I quoted the job at 60 quid. He said, so if I send it through at 50 with the VAT, it's 60. And I went, no. I said, if you send it through at 50 with the VAT at 60, I'm going to get 50 of it, aren't I? If you send it through at 60, comes at 72. I ended up doing it for 50. We had a laugh about it. It was fine. It was only a little job anyway. So, but yeah, you don't really gain anything from not being VAT registered from the point of view of quoting, because the people that are VAT registered and the people that are not VAT registered quote at the same price. The shippers, 99% of them are VAT registered, and they're going to expect the invoice to come through with the VAT on it. My mate, again, Simple Brian, he said occasionally I see invoices come through without the VAT on them, and I just laugh. He says, because I just think you're giving away 20%. Now that is probably going to open a can of worms. They tend to, and we tend to discuss them on Sundays. But Rico, that's my take on it, mate. I do think even if you're a sole trader, even if you're not going to be spending over that much money, you still want to be VAT registered. But seriously consider going on that flat rate scheme. Because as far as I understand it, it would just take all the headache away. And you can do the VAT yourself. You don't need to pay an accountant to do it. It's not like the accountant's going to charge you a load of money. There's not that much to it. You just put it in, charge it. You can do it on QuickBooks or something like that, I should imagine. So anyway, I'll catch up on the rest of them. In the meantime, I'm going to have one last look to see if there's anything. Otherwise, I'm going to go home. I've got to tidy up the back of the truck. I've got to sort out I've got to do some of these videos. And of course, I have to take care, take money.